This
All right.
conference will now be recorded.
So we have already discussed uh, that your one-time payment plans are not assigned to your employees. Rather, your the plans are processed, right? And how do you process them? Uh, Unlike any other plan that you can create and assign to workers in Workday, your one-time payment plans are processed with the help of request one-time payment uh, business process, right? Okay, we have discussed most of the aspects of this business process. Let me quickly uh, now, okay, yeah. If I go to Steve's profile, uh, additional actions, uh, compensation, request one-time payment. Am I audible? Yes, I am. Okay, so I specify a date. uh, Okay, your reason, how do you define the reason? This is consistent across your different business processes. So you have this task which is called maintain event categories and reasons. So this is a generic task wherein which you use to define reasons for most of your business processes, right? Uh, do we have one-time payment? Yes. So I select one-time payment and these are the reasons which are available, right? Let's see what are the reasons. Now your reasons, though it is optional, it helps you identify. So if you see the reasons, this is basically used for reporting, right? You want to identify how many one-time payments were processed as bonus, processed as performance, referral, and so on and so forth. You can assign reasons to your one-time payment plan processing. And the task is maintain event categories and reasons. Again, this is a generic task part of our HCM course. Uh, your change job, your hire, your all the business processes, the reasons, categories, subcategories are maintained through this task. Okay, so I'm saying award. Now, what is employee visibility date? The employee visibility date basically controls when this payment would be visible to the employee, right? So most of your, not most, all of your payment plans, right, or all the payment that you process for your workers, including your one-time payment, but also your any compensation changes you process for your workers, you can set a visibility date which is different from the effective date, right? For example, many of the organizations, when you the reward is processed, and this is how it is followed in my organization, the reward is processed from the background, and you get your amount in the payroll, and then in the subsequent month, that's when your reward is given to you. You also get a certificate, and then it becomes visible to you, right? So your visibility date could be different from the effective date. What is the visibility date? It basically controls when this would be visible to the worker himself in his history, right? And if I do not specify any visibility date, then the default visibility date is the effective date of the processing, right? Okay, I can add, um, let okay, this is your default work tags, right? Uh, any uh, any one-time payment which is processed will by default get assigned to these costing work tags, right? So the cost center is 10,000 office of CEO, but then I can select any payment plan, and right, and I can say that uh, this would go to a different work tag, right, or a different cost center. Okay, let's see what is the error. The amount field is required. Okay, so till workday 33, and let me quickly check. It was not possible to let me quickly check. It was not possible to process more than one-time payment plans in one go through a single request. So if I have to assign more than one-time payments, more than one-time payments, then I basically had to initiate two different business process requests. Let me quickly check. So in compensation, okay, it is not here. Yeah, if you see, the checkbox is enable multiple one-time payments, right? So only when this checkbox is selected, then system would allow you to process multiple one-time payments at one go. I mean, in a single business process, you can still do multiple payments through multiple business processes before Workday 33. But with Workday 33, now you have the option of configuring that multiple payments can be processed through a single business process. Okay, so I can add any other one-time payment plan as well. Tag it to the default work tag again, tag it to an alternate work tag, assign a different payment date to this one-time payment request from the date which is assigned to the first one, and so on and so forth, right? Once the request is submitted, it will initiate my request one-time payment business process. Now this business process can be okay, so your one time payment processing. All right, so the task and the business process is request one time payment plan, right? This business process can be triggered independently. So this is a standalone business process. If you see right now, I am processing an ad hoc one-time payment for a worker, right? But then this BP can, guys, give me a second. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. But this business process can also be included as part as a sub process of other business processes, right? So this BP can also be included as a sub process within a higher, right? For example, you want to process referral bonus, it can be included within termination as well, right? For example, you want to process some severance pay for an employee, right? um, uh, this can also be included within your change job, right? This can also be included within your add additional job, right? Probably you want to start international assignment. So this BP can also be included as a sub process of multiple business processes. Okay, what did we see on the one-time payment plan? So your reason, and we saw that this is handled by the task maintain event uh, reasons and categories, right? Your employee visibility date, right? Date when the payment plan is visible to the worker, right? By default, uh, if visibility is not specified, then system uses effective date as the default visibility date. Okay, what else did we see? We saw our work tax option. We saw there's one more option which is send to payroll, right? So only when this checkbox is selected, that amount would be sent to payroll for processing, right? So if I do not select this checkbox, it means probably this amount is already processed for the worker, right? Through some other means, right? I'm just maintaining this record for the purpose of, I'm just processing this request for the purpose of maintaining employee history record, right? So probably this amount is already paid out to the worker through a different channel. Maybe he got a check or some other process, right? Through this request, I'm not looking to pay this amount right now, right? This would only update the history of the employee, right? So only when this checkbox is selected, the amount would be sent to either Workday payroll or your third party payroll through your integrations which are in place, right? So you're sent to payroll. As I mentioned, clear this checkbox, and this by default it is selected. If you want to enter a one-time payment that you want to track in compensation, so you're just entering this payment so that you can track it in compensation, but was already paid out, right? Okay. Okay, I think this is all I wanted to discuss. Okay, a couple of days back, we spoke about our uh, allowance plans, right? And we saw that how do you configure, how do you set up your allowance plans? Okay, now many a times, for it could be any reason, maybe cost of living, right? So at this point in time, all my employees, they get, let's say, uh, 500 rupees of let's say some mobile allowance or some travel allowance, right? Obviously with passing year, the cost of living changes, and you want to process an additional uh, allowance for your workers, right? So you want to increase it from 500 to, let's say, 600, right? Okay, now we have seen, for example, if I edit an allowance plan, right? uh, I want to edit, let's say from 1st of March, I want to increase the amount associated with, let's say, this plan. This is some fixed amount plan, right? Okay. However, if you see, right now I don't have an option to change the value for this plan, right? So as I mentioned, for this plan, instead of 20,000, going forward, I want to process, let's say, 21,000, maybe because of cost of living, right? Or any other reason. Now, system doesn't allow me to edit the value of this plan, right? The reason is this is a no override plan, but also because this plan is already assigned to different employees. So even if I go ahead and open, okay, we also, yeah, uh, multiple, sorry guys, let me also write this down. Multiple one-time payments can be processed uh, from a single uh, request if enable checkbox is selected in tenant setup HCM in the compensation tab, right? Okay, we'll talk about some of these other aspects again, right? We'll talk about all the configuration aspects. Okay, so this is any which way is a fixed amount plan, but even if I take a variable amount plan, so let's say edit allowance plan. Hmm, okay, so I'm not sure if this is assigned to anyone, but let's see. So if the plan is, now it allows me to change the value of this plan, right? The reason is this plan is currently not assigned to anyone. Now, if a plan is assigned to someone in the system, even if the plan is a variable plan, which means it can be overwritten, system would not allow you to change the value of that plan. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Okay, this is all right, any which ways. So the idea is, if a plan is a no override plan, then you cannot change the amount associated with that plan. The second is, even if a plan is not a no override plan, if the plan is assigned to already assigned to employees, even then system would not allow you to change the value of that plan, right? Now the question is, how do you then adjust the amount of an allowance plan, right? Now, there are two aspects to it. The first is you just adjust the amount associated with the plan. So instead of, let's say, 12,000, you want to change it to 13,000. Now, the next time this allowance is assigned to anyone, system would automatically default 13,000 for the employee instead of 12,000, which is perfectly fine. But then the question is, for all those employees, this plan is already assigned. System would not re-evaluate the associated amount for those employees, right? So there are 50 employees who are already assigned this car allowance and they are getting 12,000. Now system would not change the value of these 50 employees to 13,000 once I go ahead and change it from 12,000 to 13,000, right? Now the question is, then how do I manage these plan adjustments? There's a task available, or there's a process available through which I can adjust the amount associated with an allowance plan and also the amount of all the employees who have that plan assigned. Okay, so the process is compensation plan adjustment. Hey, sorry guys, just spilled some coffee on my laptop. Just give me a quick second. चाय गिर गई है इशू. Hey, sorry guys. Okay, I just spilled some tea on my laptop. All right. So compensation plan adjustments, right? And as I mentioned, your comp plans may need to be adjusted. Let me quickly. Uh, may need to be adjusted, and this could be for any reason, right? For let's say changes in cost of living. Uh, okay. However, the problem is a change in compensation plan target. It could be your target amount or your target percentage. Will not have an impact on an existing employee's individual target. So if, as I mentioned, if an employee is already being paid out 12,000, system doesn't automatically re-evaluate the amount associated with that plans. So system would not do that re-evaluation. Okay, it will. What is the purpose? It will simply uh, provide a different target for employees assigned to the plan uh, going forward through staffing events. So going forward, any employee who's assigned to this plan, right, through any of the staffing events, hire, change job, or any other process, system would then propose that new target, right? So the question is, how do you adjust the amount for all the existing employees? So you do that with the help of your adjustment process. So the adjustment process allows you to adjust existing employees assigned to the plan, right? And you can do that either in mass or one by one, right? Okay, how do you do that? Let's go ahead and see. So the task is uh, allowance, or let me just select plan adjustment, because there are different kinds of adjustment that you can do, not just for allowance plan but for other plans as well. So if you see, I can adjust an allowance plan, I can adjust the commission plan. We have not discussed what is a commission plan yet, but you can adjust an hourly plan, you can adjust a unit salary plan. So you're basically changing the amount per unit, let's say, right? Instead of $10, now you want to process $11, right? You can set up adjustments for your unit allowance plans, right? These are just different tasks. The concept is exactly the same, right? Okay, let me open setup allowance plan adjustment. Okay, you would select the allowance plan, and let's select. Okay, so let's take this plan. If you see, I am not able to change the value of this plan, right? uh, so I want to adjust this plan, and I want to, okay, view allowance. There's also a task which is called view allowance plan usage, which basically allows me to view the usage of that plan. So let's see to who all this plan is assigned. Okay, let's see as of March 1st. Okay, there's no one who's using the defaults on this plan. Okay, thing been assigned. What I'll do is I would assign it to Steve Morgan, right? Compensation, request compensation change. Let me process it from 1st of March, or let's say 1st of Jan, right? 2020. Uh, Add this plan, right? System automatically proposes 6,000 as the amount. Excuse me. I have to specify the reason. Again, the reason is through the same task we discussed, maintain event uh, reasons and categories task. Uh, let's see. Uh, let's add ad hoc submit. Okay, it is processed. Let's look at Steve Morgan's profile now and see if he's getting this plan. Yes, he is getting 6,000, right? His total base pay remains the same, but his total compensation and his total salary and allowances changes, right? Now, why your total base pay remains the same? What is the logic for calculating these values? We'll go ahead and talk about that later, right? Okay, let's look at view allowance plan usage once again. So I want to see from as of March 1st, let's say who all is, this is strange. All right, here it is, right? So number of employees using the profile. So Steve Morgan, this is the profile which got assigned, right? And if I go ahead and see this, Steve Morgan, he's getting 6,000 US dollars. Okay, now, as I mentioned, let's say WB 6th Feb, sorry guys, yeah, WB 6th Feb 20 corporate adjustment. So any event name, this is the reason. If you see, the options that I get are exactly the same as the options I get on request compensation change, right? So these are the same options. I would say cost of living, right? Okay, now instead of, this is my current default amount and I want to change it to, let's say, 21,000, right? Okay, what are the plan profiles? The current plan profile for US is 6,100, 6,000. I want to change it to 6,500, 5,000 to 5,400, and 4,000 to, let's say, 4,300, and uh, I want to change it to 8,699, right? Okay, now there are two options here. Again, the same set of options we looked at earlier as well. So how do I handle the adjustment for those employees? So all these changes that I've done, this is for the plan, the amount or the defaults on the plan being changed, right? So I'm saying the current default on the plan is 20,000 and change it to 21,000. The current default on each of these plan profiles is this, and change it to this amount, right? But then this section basically identifies how do I handle those employees who already have this plan assignment, right? Again, the same concept. Those employees who are using default, I'm saying adjust them to the new default, right? Those employees who are not using, so either I can adjust the employees to the new default, or I may say do not make any adjustment to the current employees, or those employees who are using a overwritten value. Now obviously this is not possible because this is a fixed amount plan, but then still I'm saying adjust to the new defaults because I know there's no employee who's using a overwritten value, right? So either I can say do not adjust, or I may say adjust to the new defaults, or I may say adjust by the same amount, right? I think we have already discussed these options, and let me submit this. The process is complete. Let me look at my allowance plan, view allowance plan. It is not view allowance plan, it is allowance plan, right? So let's see if the amount has changed. Oh, what was the what was the date I had given? Oh, 319. Mm, I should have given. Okay, so from 319 the amount is changed to 21,000. All right, so guys, the tenant date is still 318. That's what. And here, if you see, instead of 6,000, it changes to 65,000, and so on and so forth. Let's look at employees profile as well. Probably this has not changed because this will change from. Okay, this has not changed because it shows. Let me look at the pay change history. Okay, if you see from 319, uh, the amount as let's look at job worker history. 319. This is the request compensation change for the worker. Mm, okay, if you see, yeah. So this is the current details, 6,000, and the proposed change effective 319 is 6,500 because the amount on the plan itself would change to 6,500. I should have actually, and if we look at this tomorrow, which is 319, then you would see this plan amount reflecting for the employee as well. So currently it is still showing 6,000 in the compensation details, right? Currently it is still showing 6,000, but effective 319, the proposed amount is 6,500. So system automatically triggers a business process change request for each of the impacted employees, right? If I go back, look at the allowance usage, and let's look at it effective 320, right? Plan profiles, there is one employee, and if I look at the plan profiles, the amount is 6,500, right? If I select a different date, let's say 318, plan profiles, the amount is 6,000, right? So I can set up adjustments for not just allowance plans, but also my other plan types, my hourly plans, my unit salary plans, my unit allowance plan. Uh, okay, so what all did we saw? We looked at report, and the report we saw was view allowance plan usage, view allowance plan usage to check the current assignment details of the allowance plan, right? What was the task that we saw? The task was, what was the task? Sorry, guys. The task was set up allowance adjustment, right? So if I just go ahead and do setup adjustment, what all do I see? I should have mentioned plan adjustment. Okay, so I have the option of setting up adjustments for compensation plan. I have the option of setting up adjustments to hourly plan, commission plan, hourly plan, unit allowance, and unit salary plan. right? So setup, sorry, COMMISS, commission plan adjustment, setup, hourly plan adjustment, setup, unit allowance plan adjustment, and setup, unit salary plan adjustment. Okay, any questions on this? So I'll quickly write this down. We specify the new amount for plan default as well as plan profiles, right? And then we specify uh, the adjustment for employees using default, right? And employees using overrides, right? So I can adjust to new default, I can do not adjust, and adjust by same amount. Okay, so that was your compensation plan adjustment. Uh, Next, we'll talk about the commission plans. Any questions on any of the plans we have discussed till now? Okay, I would take that as a no. And let's look at uh, the commission plans. So employees using defaults, the option is either adjust to new defaults or do not adjust. And employees using override, we have one extra option, which is adjust by the same amount. Okay, commission plans, right? Any questions, guys, till this point in time? So we have after commission plans, we only have two plans in core compensation. Uh, One of that, in fact, we'll talk about after we have discussed bonus plans. So we have a calculated plan, right? And then we have something called future payment plan, but then we'll discuss about that in terms of the bonus plan as well. So if you remember yesterday we said, and I think we mentioned it somewhere here. Okay, we did not discuss about this. And which was we'll discuss about the future payment plans and calculated plans next, and then we'll talk about our advanced compensation plans, the merit, the salary, and the bonus. Okay, now what is a commission plan? Uh, as the name itself suggests, this plan is used for your commission employees, right? Who are your commission employees? For example, your pre-sales employees, your sales employees, uh, who get a commission as their salary component, right? Maybe based on the number of sales that they have done or the number of policies that you sell if you are an insurance agent, right? So commission plans basically pay out to the employees based on a fixed commission based on the targets that they have achieved, right? Okay, so let's see how now this is a very simple plan. uh, uh, for the fact that Workday is basically not a commissioning tool, it just allows you to define the plan against the employee. How that commission is paid, that is all handled by your third party agent, third party tools, uh, or you have your payroll which handles the actual payout. right? It's a very simple plan. So there are two plans. One is your commission plans, and the second one is your stock plan. So when we talk about the stock plan as well, we'll see that stock plan is just using for it is used for granting stocks to the employees, but actually how those stocks are being vested, how those stocks are being used, the market value and all that, that is not something which Workday handles, right? So it's a very limited functionality for these two plan types in Workday. Okay, so if you have a group of employees uh, that are paid a commission as part of their base pay, right? You can set up a commission plan, right, to track participation. So this is all this plan does. It tracks the participation and the target commission amount that these employees are eligible for, right? Uh, Commission amount for a specific currency and frequency. Okay, uh, create commission plan. 2000. Again, you see that most of the aspects, at least all this part, the details and the commission defaults, these are pretty standard, pretty straightforward, right? So I'm saying this to be insurance uh, agent commission, right? Uh, I would define the compensation element, and I'm saying that this is a commission. I'm defining the commission that the employee is supposed to get, right? So let's say I am saying they get, for instance, 1,20,000. Uh, uh, okay, GBP of commission, right? And the commission is for 1 year. So in 1 year, based on their commission targets, right, they are eligible for a commission of 120,000 pounds, right? Okay, again, I define the eligibility rule. So all my commission employees or insurance agents or whatever are eligible for this plan amount. Okay, now what is the difference? The difference is these draw amounts or the draw defaults, right? So usually what organizations do is they say that our employees, our commission agent is eligible for this amount in a year, right? Now the actual commission that he gets, now the actual com now the actual commission he gets would obviously be known at the end of the year, right? So I could have achieved 100% of my target, or maybe exceeded my target, or probably just achieved 50% of my target, right? So that would be known at the end of the frequency period, right? But then what many organizations do is they let their employees draw an amount out of their commission, right, in good faith, in uh, that the employees are going to achieve that target. So what I can say is the total amount my employee is eligible for is 120,000, and let's say I allow my employees to draw $5,000 every month for the next 12 months, right? So which means in a year, out of 120,000, my employees would have received 60,000, and then at the end of the year, based on what target they have achieved, I can then pay them the remaining amount, right? So out of the remaining 60,000, my employee could only achieve, let's say, 75% of the target or 90% of the target. So he's probably getting 50,000 out of the remaining 60,000, right? So I'm saying the employee would draw 5,000 every month for the next 12 months, or probably I may say, okay, I'm going to pay my employees 10,000 every month for the first 9 months or first 6 months or whatever, right? So first 6 months I pay my employees 60,000 in all, and then for the next 5 or 6 months they do not get any commission, and then all the remaining amount based on the targets that they have reached, they would be paid out, right? Okay, let's say what happens. So I have paid, let's say, my employees 10,000 for 9 months, which means a given employee has already received 90,000 out of the 120,000 he was supposed to get. But this employee could, which means around 80% of what he should be getting, right? But probably this employee could only achieve 50% of the target, just a hypothetical example, which means he should be only getting 60,000 and he's already received more than what he's eligible for at the end of the year, right? In that case, I can also say that this amount or the extra amount which is paid out to the employee, maybe I leave in the middle of the year, right? So I'm still reaching my target, but then I leave after 6 months or whatever, and the extra commission that has been paid out to me, should that be recovered for me, right? Uh, if I move to a different team, right? If I get terminated, if I am not able to reach my target, in any of these scenarios, is the extra amount recoverable or not? As I mentioned, Workday only tracks the participation to this plan. It doesn't track how your amount is going to be recovered, whether it is recovered or not. Obviously it would be part of the payroll if it Workday has that payroll, right? But then this is not a commissioning tool. It doesn't have a whole lot of functionality available around your commission plans. Okay, any questions? Right, so everything else we saw is pretty straightforward. The only thing which was extra and we discussed was the draw default, right? And we discussed draw amount, uh, draw frequency, right? And draw duration, right? Now all these fields, including the recoverable field, right? As I mentioned, these are only for information purposes as far as workday compensation goes in workday, and used to track the uh, participation details of the employee in this plan, right? uh, these can be passed to a third party commission system. So you have all these third party commissions, right? Your Morgan Stanley and all these, which actually manage all those commissions, or they have tools to handle these commissions. So they can be passed to your third party commission systems or through payroll, uh, through integrations, right? Okay, any questions? Okay, did we speak about segment based security? I think we did not, right? uh, all right, so what is a segment based security? Okay, now I understand that you guys already have understanding of workday security, but then let me give a very high level uh, overview, right? So your workday security is handled through your security groups, right? And there are different levels by which you handle your security, right? At the first level is your normal security groups, right? Which basically identify what access you have, right? So whether I have access to, for example, view uh, contact details of the employee, right? View contact details, or edit a plan, or assign compensation, right? These are all the access level that I have, right? And this is based on the security group I am assigned to, right? So this is your first level of workday security, which basically identifies what access do I get. At the second level, you have this constrained versus unconstrained, right? Which basically identifies for which employee I have that access, right? So manager only has access to his or her own direct reports, right? Or maybe indirect reports if the security get inherited, right? So at the first level, my security group, which controls what access I have. At the second level, my context of the security group, whether the security group is constrained or unconstrained, which basically identifies this access I have to view contact details. So can I view the contact details of my team, my location, employees in my cost center, or the entire enterprise, right? So the second level of workday security works through your context definition in terms of being constrained or unconstrained. Then at the third level and final level, I have this segmented security, right? Okay, for example, uh, let's say, since we are talking about compensation, let's talk at the examples of assign one-time payment plans, right? So my security group identifies that I have the access to assign one-time payment plan, right? My context identifies for which employee I can assign that plan, right? So I'm a manager, I can give a spot bonus to my direct report, right? The third level, your segment security identifies uh, what, how should I put it? Uh, what tenanted value can be accessed, right? Okay, now what do I mean by this? So all managers, they have access to the task request one-time payment, right? Which means they have access to assign one-time payments. They can only initiate one-time payments for their own direct reports, which is controlled by their context, right? But then in one-time payment plan, I could have many different plan types. For example, I have referral bonus, right? I have, let's say, different awards, spot award. Let's say this is an award for 5,000 rupees, right? I have, let's say, something called uh, 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 best performer award, maybe some award. The amount is 10,000. And let's say outstanding achiever award, something that sort. This is for 20,000, right? Maybe some severance pay, right? When the employee leaves, right? This obviously would depend on how much he's eligible for. Relocation bonus, uh, joining bonus, right? So all these are different one-time payment which can be maintained or available, right? But the question is, this manager who has access to maintain one-time payment plans for his direct reports, can he actually maintain all these plans for his direct report? For example, referral bonus, obviously manager is not the one who is going to decide whether an employee should get a referral bonus, right? This is not something a manager should be handling, right? Again, my joining bonus, when I join an organization, it is not a manager who decides whether I get a joining bonus or not, right? This is something my HR would do, right? Again, my severance pay, not something my manager would handle, right? This depends on the HR and the amount I'm eligible for, and HR should be eligible for this. Maybe a spot award my manager can maintain, but then if you see this outstanding achiever award, this the amount is very high, and probably I don't want my manager should have the authorization to give outstanding achiever award to the direct reports, right? Maybe some senior manager, some VP should have this authorization. So your segment security basically controls when assigning that one-time payment, which of these tenanted one-time payment values a given employee has access to, right? And that is your segment-based security in the nutshell. It basically allows me, for example, again, we spoke about reimbursement plan, right? Now, a normal employee, let's say, he can travel through an economy class, he can book a 3-star hotel. Maybe a VP, he has access to business class and 5-star hotel. So when he selects a reimbursement plan and he have these expense items, a normal employee should not even have access to that item called business travel, right? Whereas a manager, when he submits a request, uh, for his air travel, he should maybe a VP, when he submits that request for air travel, he should have access to that expense item called business travel, right? So again, both of us have access to the same request, so we both can submit an expense request, but then I can only submit expense request for a economy travel, whereas a manager can have, he has access to the business travel item within that prompt, right? This is what your segment based security controls. We'll see how this segment based security is set up. Any questions till now or in today's class? Okay, I would take that as a no. Let's stop today and we'll continue this with this tomorrow, right? So we'll see how your segment security is set up. We'll talk about compensation basis. We'll talk about those plans, the core compensation plans which are left, the calculated plans, and uh, your uh, future payment plans. We'll talk about the advanced payment plans and so on and so forth. Okay, guys, I'll stop here. Thank you so much for joining. Uh, we'll connect again tomorrow. Bye, guys. Take care.
Say tomorrow what time? 11 o'clock or 11:30?
Uh, I think we can do it at 11:30 because I'm not going office, but
Okay,
I'll give a confirmation tomorrow. Okay. So mostly
okay,
I think we
okay.
can
Please keep,
connect at 11.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Plus, please keep me in loop. Huh? I don't get any intimation what time we're training. Yeah.
All right. I'll let the institute know. They'll also loop me in.
Okay,
Sure, Varun.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.